Hello YouTube, Chrome Freak here. Finally, the video we've been waiting on. This is a brand new camera. It's a Bloggy, Sony Bloggy, and we're looking at two beautiful FN FALs. One of them, I won't tell you, John's going to tell you about each and every one of them, but the little guy up top up there with the Israeli furniture on it, that's John's little creation almost, and that's his shooter. So this video we actually tried to film last week and the camera broke. Let me hurry so we can get this in a half an hour, I'm hoping, or less. But bear with me for a second. So this is why it took so long to get this video going, was I had to buy a new camera. I actually brought that camera back. Then my other camera broke, then I had to go buy this camera. Long story short, here we are, and we're ready to film this video. I think John's raring and ready to go. We're feeling good, and let's rock and roll. Difference between metric and inch.
Correct. That's what we want to take a look at here. And I didn't bring the greatest metric gun to compare, because the top gun is the metric gun. It's not country specific. It was just a wild creation. I wanted a little short carbine. I always like the Israeli furniture. We have a Type 3 receiver on it, which we're going to talk about, but it's an Imbel Brazil parts kit on a Imbel Brazil Type 3 receiver. We've got the EOTech up top. Now below we've got a really nice inch pattern gun here, and this is on the early enterprise receiver, which I talked about. So between the last video where we had the DSA receiver, and now we've got the early enterprise, and now the Imbel gear logo metric receiver, you guys have looked at FAL rifles on all three of the receiver types that I mentioned were generally pointed to quality builds. And if you guys are in the market, these are the receivers of types I want you to go after. You be the judge here when we look at the fit and finish of these, and we'll talk a little bit about each one. But even though the top creation is not country specific, it's my own creation, there's still enough metric features on there that we can compare them against the inch rifle. And to be quite honest with you, even the inch rifle isn't perfect, because this is a British inch parts kit. And our actual lightning cuts on our receiver are Australian type. And the reason they are is because when I put this rifle together, nobody was making the lightning cuts that were resembling the British style lightning cuts. So you got stuck with an Aussie receiver, but it still works out pretty nice. I actually think it's a more pleasing receiver, but we do the best we can when we have to reassemble these military type firearms, and you want to be country specific. The bottom rifle has the British suit sight on it, which stands for Sight Unit Infantry Trilux. And Trilux just means, it's a fancy word for a prismatic sight. It's actually like a pair of binoculars cut in half. The actual primary objective is offset to the side of the rifle, and the eye cup is over the stock, so you can get a nice cheek weld here, and there's a prism that transfers that image over. I don't think we're going to be able to look through the sight with this camera, but it is a very unique sight, and it's a post reticle, and the post comes down from the top. And when I asked Chrome Freak to look at this the first time, he goes, "What in the heck? You got it mounted upside down, you moron?" And I was like, no.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
The Brits decided that by having the post and reticle come down from the top, when you fire the rifle and the rifle recoils back, the post rises up, so it clears your sight picture of being obscured by the post that you're looking at. Whereas if the post is on the bottom, it would rise up into what you were looking at. So it takes a little getting used to. We're having a really nice lightning storm.
Yeah, it is. It's lightning pretty badly.
Cool. But let's get into this. So let's take a look here. Real quickly, we're just going to go through, because again, my whole aim here is that when you guys walk into the gun shop, when you walk into the gun show, and there's a bunch of metric FALs up there, and you're in the market and you're looking, I want you guys to be able to quickly identify what you're looking at, so you don't get fed a line of crap by some of these people trying to sell this stuff out here and everything like that. So typically, let's start with I guess we'll start with the top here. Maybe we want to come off tripod now. So
sure. I'm sorry guys if it's a little shaky, but I am taking it off the tripod and getting closer on this.
I'm going to pull magazines here and everything like that and do our safety check and good stuff like that. Good to go. Click.
Just beautiful, solid firearms too. If you were to feel these in your hands, they are just, it just screams quality. It really does. The way they were made. And by the way, that is also, to some people who might not know, new to firearms, there's a L1A1, also known as, right, John?
Yeah, that's what the nomenclature on the inch gun is here. This is what we would call an L1A1. Actually, since we're right here, let's start with this one. What the heck? easiest way to identify an inch pattern gun, aside if you're not familiar with your lightning cuts and everything like that, is start looking at your flash hiders. Most of the inch pattern guns have a long style flash hider like this with the bayonet lug attached on the bottom there, and they've got a little cross pin right there. Now the G1 that was adopted by Germany, the FAL, has a long flash hider too, but it actually slips over the barrel and attaches to a lug on the barrel. If you see a long flash hider like this, I call it kind of the banana slotted style, that's a pretty good indication that you're looking at an inch barrel. Also, an inch barrel will not have any cut for the bipod. None of the inch guns, unless they were the heavy barreled version, the squad auto version, which has got a thicker barrel profile. But a standard barreled inch gun will have no bipod cut. So all we've got is a cut here for the sling swivel. Another good identifying feature is this gas plug in the front with this very wide notch here, and we don't have it, if we compare it to most of the metric ones, we don't have the quick disconnect.
There you see the front.
Yep, there you go. That's a good shot right there. So there's our quick disconnect right here. No big groove in the front here.
And we'll come back to the element.
On your inch, we've got this big groove in the front here, and there's no quick disconnect. You've got a little button right here that's designed to be depressed with a blank cartridge to rotate the gas plug around. Another good identifying feature is the open ear on the sights here. Now your Argentine barrels on your metric guns will also be open eared, but open ear with a blade style sight like that.
See if I can get a shot down that.
And this will be a good test of the camera here. And on this gas block here, if you see a casting number right here that says B59 and it's got a parts number, it's another indication that you've got an inch gun. In fact, the inch guns, if we look at our lower receiver here, let's look at our charging handle really quick. There's a part number on the charging handle. There's a B61. Here's a UB61 on the lower with this proof right here. Safe and fire. We're back here by the pistol grip right here, UV61. There's a number that's actually scratched out right here. We actually have a proof mark right here on the takedown lever. We've got this 065 up here, some type of proof. All these are parts codes and proof marks that the British Ministry of Defense puts on these things, and their quality control measures. And interestingly enough, come over here to a metric lower. We don't see any of that. We've got one part number up here, or one serial number that would have matched the receiver, but it's really devoid of all these proofs. When you see a gun on the lower receiver portion of it here, and again, this is the lower receiver that houses the trigger group and everything. When you see a lot of these proof marks and part numbers everywhere, you can be assured that that's an inch type gun. In fact, the inch guns are kind of this long, sexy profile, but they've got all these proofs and numbers all over them. They're kind of like a hot chick with too many tattoos, to be honest with you. I mean, they are just, they're proofed up, you know. Another good indication is you look at the difference here in the profile on the trigger guard here, how it differs. It's more elongated versus the metric. And then a lot of the inch guns will have this type of pistol grip on it, or even when these are in the black plastic, the mylanol, I think is what they call it, they'll still have this step here for the selector lever. Another good indication that you've got an inch parts kit gun is look at the difference in the selector lever. The Brits did not want their soldiers to rock and roll. So even though the guns were set up for rock and roll, look what happens. We've got an automatic rock and roll stopper right there because that is designed to actually stop that safety from rotating around to the full auto position because it comes up against a lightning cut right here. Whereas on a metric gun, you don't have that extended safety on it, so you can go all the way around to the A position, but it won't on this one because I've got the American made part in there to prevent that from happening. It's an ATF requirement.
But yeah, both of these are 922 are
correct. Yeah, these are not full auto weapons here, and they're 922 compliant. But you can see here that we don't have that limiting factor on the particular weapon. So lots of proof marks.
Yeah, actually, I like proof marks.
Yeah, I like the Sega guns, so you're kind of used to them. So some other differences here: side charging handles on the inch guns. That is really cool. I love that how cleanly that folds down. But wait a minute, what have we got here? Here's a metric gun with a side charging handle. And this is one of my modifications. These can actually, remember we talked about the interchangeability between metric and inch parts? with a slight shoulder cut here to the receiver, you can make it so that your charging handle will fold down. And of course, then I had another problem. I had to notch my hand guards here to make that work, but all in all, it gives it a very clean look down the side here.
It does. And you had that done there tonight. Whoever did the work did a really good job.
So let's take a look. I mean, you know, there's other little differences too to facilitate this Trilux sight. All the British and inch pattern guns have got a fold down rear sight. So you see that's folded flat right there. I'm not going to take the Trilux off to pop that up, but if your metallic sight would fold up on that. Probably the easiest way, believe it or not, to tell the difference between the inch and the metric guns is simply compare charging handles. I'm sorry, carry handles. The carry handle is an absolute freaking no-brainer. If you remember the STG-58 video we did, the carrying handle was very narrow, it was very short, and it looked like a bunch of discs or wafers stacked up. This particular, which I give this a bad name for a charging handle. I'm not going to say it on camera, but this is kind of like the beaded style carrying handle, and it's longer and it's got these nice finger grooves in it and these rounded bumps. You see this on a ton of the metric FAL variations that came out of South America. You see them on the Imbo guns. I think you see these on the Argentine guns. You see these on the South African metric FALs because they were just contracted out to Imbo, basically. So those are designated R1A, I believe. So if you see the disc style, wafer style charging handle like we had on the STG-58 video, or the handle here with the beads, the round bulbous style, you almost guaranteed that started out life as a metric kit. On all the inch guns and Commonwealth guns, they all have this style charging handle. And I really like this one with the smooth top and the finger grooves on the bottom. It's a big, hefty charging handle. And on the Aussie guns, the Australian guns, this will be green in color. On the Brits, they're black. On the Canadian, they're black. On New Zealand, I think they're black. The Aussies will be green. But when you see this style charging handle, you pretty much know that you've got yourself an inch parts kit. Another good way to tell. Talk about overkill by the Brits. We got to take a good thing like an FAL and try to make it better. Can we see this detail on this bolt here with our new camera? Does everybody see? Yeah, it's coming.
I'm sorry, guys, but I got to come around.
What are we apologizing for? We got to manipulate the camera.
Okay, yes, you can.
Absolutely can see those. You see those zigzag cuts on there? Let's come down to the metric bolt. Oh, gee, it's just round and plain. Zigzag. Yes. Zigzag.
And explain what the zigzagging is for.
Round and plain. No, let's just play the game. Round and plain. Zigzag. Round and plain. Okay. All right. Zigzags are called sand cuts. Believe it or not, because this receiver wasn't fully enclosed, the Brits thought, oh my gosh, you know, if we get debris and material in there, it's going to cause stoppages in the rifle. And the Brits went so far, actually, if this was an actual military-issued gun, they actually deactivate the last shot bolt hold open. They'll let the soldiers have it because, God forbid, on the last shot, the bolt stays open and you get some debris in there and it causes a stoppage. Well, I like that feature, so I've reactivated this one, and you simply do it, you put the spring back in there. Whoop-de-doo. But these sand cuts are actually designed with, there's also sand cuts on the inside of this receiver, and it's designed so that if sand or dirt does get in there when the bolt cycles, those grooves actually help pass the material out through the receiver, which if you've got a magazine in there, I don't know where the heck it's going to go. Does it go down into your magazine? I mean, I just...
It's almost over-engineering.
It is. I really think it is, because the FAL is almost, I think it's as reliable as the AK in terms of stoppages, but it doesn't matter. It gives us another distinguishing feature. Yeah. If we see zigzags on the bolt, you know that you've got an inch bolt in there. If we see no zigzags on the bolt, we've got a metric bolt. I hope I said inch bolt up here, not metric. I did good. Yes. Now let's take a look at these receiver types again, because here's an inch type receiver with Aussie style lightning cuts on it. So the big difference, get the charging handle out of the way. The big difference right here is, if we remember on the STG-58 video, we had a very shallow lightning cut in the magazine well here that followed the sort of the profile of the mag well. This has got a big rectangular lightning cut along the mag well here, very AK-47-ish on the milled receiver AKs. So when you see that, that's a dead giveaway that, again, that you're looking at an inch style receiver. We have the nice candy cane lightning cut here, another candy cane lightning cut here. The breech plate on the back of the lower receiver, again, we see that step in it, so that matches up right there perfectly. Again, it's just ridiculous, the fit and finish. And there you can see some of the fit and finish on this early Enterprise receiver, how nice that matches
up. Gorgeous.
It really is very nice.
It is, the whole firearm.
And now we look at the Type 3 receiver made by, here's why we call it the Gear logo receiver, because we have that little sprocket design there with Imbel in it. And here's PAC, Pacific Armament Corporation again. You see an FAL built on these, and it's for sale. This is golden. Like I said, these were, although these back in the day were a relatively inexpensive receiver, here again, we've got a receiver that's milled from a forging. This receiver is milled from billet. We're not going to get into the whole forged billet issue right here. If you really want to know about forgings and what it does for you, look it up. It's a metallurgy thing. What happens with a forging is the whole process of making the forging and then annealing the forging, it causes some recrystallization of the metal. You get a tighter crystal growth, you get a stronger metallic structure, and that's why a forged receiver is going to be somewhat superior. But for a civilian whose round count isn't going to be that high, there's no way I can wear these guns out.
Yeah, no.
So it's not going to matter. But let's look at this Type 3 receiver here, and one of the ways that we can tell we've got a Type 3 receiver, there's no lightning cuts. And they did that to save money, because this is machine work. So that's somebody's time. Time is money.
Beautiful machine work, yes.
No lightning cut here in the magwell. No candy cane cuts here. Flipping over to the other side here, there's no lightning cut to reduce that material up underneath the charging handle. There's no candy cane cuts back here. Very slab-sided appearance, very unique appearance, and its corresponding Type 3 lower receiver, we don't see the step in the breech plate. A lot of people have built metric guns using the Type 3 receiver on a Type 1 or Type 2 lower that has a step in it. So there'll be a mismatch right here. You'll see the step and you'll see that the receiver doesn't line up. This isn't a bad thing. In fact, all the guns, all the pre-ban guns that came from FN in the 80s when the restrictions on the importation were relaxed again, are all Type 3 receivers on mostly Type 1 and 2 lowers. So they have the step there and it doesn't match up. That's not a sign of not quality. It's just a sign of, hey, this is the way we made the lower, this is the way we made the upper. But in Brazil, they didn't bother to make that little notch there on this breech plate, so everything lines up really nicely. Yeah. So we've got this lovely Brazilian FAL parts kit on this Brazilian receiver with this completely funky furniture arrangement on it.
Now you know why.
The EOTech up top kind of eliminates the need for the carry handle, which is too bad. But the other neat feature of this rifle is this U.S. Armament top cover here, which is this low profile mount here. U.S. Armament Company was also known as Williams Armament, and they made the infamous Alumabomb upper receiver. It was an aluminum FAL upper receiver that was blowing up with the high pressure 308 cartridges. And people tried to recalibrate the gun for 223 and whatnot, and it still wasn't working out. But unfortunately, because of their failure with the Alumabomb, Williams Armament went out of business, and they didn't make a whole lot of these scope mounts. I am very glad I got one of these, because again, the fit and finish on this, and again, it looks so nice on the Type 3 receiver without the lightning cuts, because you have this very slab-sided appearance here, and we have this very simple slab-sided appearance here on the upper cover for the contour of it, and it just comes together very nicely. If we look at the other side of the gun, the same thing over here. So it works out really well. Low profile, so your mounts go right on here, and it's just a gorgeous thing. Here's our metric rear sight again. It's non-folding like the Brit one would be. We just got our adjustments right here, but that will not fold down like it does on our Brit gun. We have our closed front sight ears here. They're not open. We have our Belgian style flash hider on it, so that's kind of a dead giveaway. No bipod cut on this barrel. This was a non-bipod cut barrel, because we're not going to put a bipod on this type of a carbine rifle. Right. Israeli light barrel furniture. If you like this style of furniture, you can still find this out there, but you have to buy the light barrel furniture, because the Israelis had the same style of furniture on their heavy barrel guns. I think the buttstock will interchange, but the handguards will not, because the spacer rings are sized for the larger heavy barrel. So if you want to get this type of furniture, if you like the look of this, which I love, by the way.
Yeah, I do too.
You got to make sure you get the light barrel furniture. And it's just gorgeous with this this perforated heat shield out front, and then this very comfortable, very beefy. This is just a solid gun. This is this is one of my favorites.
And you know why you call it a Frank and FAL now, because it's just
it
a
is. I mean,
mixture of,
yeah. Let's think about what we've got here. We've got, you know, Brazil, Israel, United States of America, Britain for our side folding handle, and then of course the EOTech on top. So I mean, and then our USA parts in it to make it 922 compliant. I mean, it's just kind of ridiculous in the whole way the thing came together. But great gun to shoot.
Yeah, this is John's shooter right here, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to get to the range with it. But one day I hope to get out to John's place.
Do some videos of you knocking some rounds down with that, because
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's great. This, even with the short barrel, believe it or not, at 500 yards, this has got the least bullet drop on
that's what
my FALs, and I don't understand.
I don't either.
I'm not a big ballistics guy. Don't figure why.
Yeah, I'm not understanding that either. At 500 yards, John is saying a little Frankenfeld, a little shorty here, is out shooting the longer barrel L1A1 there, which is totally amazing to me.
Because they both have essentially new barrels on it. If I did not get a pristine barrel in a parts kit when barrels were available, I just bought a new one. So that's the most important part to me. Have a good receiver, a good barrel.
We're working on 21 minutes here, so.
Right on. We'll wrap things up here, but I think everybody, like I said, your biggest clue really start with the charging, or start with the carrying handles. This style is just a dead giveaway for an inch gun. That's correct. Big and lumpy is going to be South American and South African. Round discs is going to be the Austrian STG 58, which were very common. Here again, here's our Type 3 receiver, no lightning cuts. Slab-sided appearance, can be fit for a side folding charging handle if you like. Type 3 lower receiver, because no chink in the breech plate right here, so that matches up perfectly. We've got our lightning cuts here. Our distinguishing feature on the inch style receiver is the big AK style lightning cut right here. We have our sand cuts on our bolt carrier. Typically, we've got the long slotted flash hider.
It is very long.
It is long. Gas plug in front, big notch in front, no quick handle on the side, open ear gas block, and then again, here's my hot babe with too many tattoos. Just parts numbers,
yeah, there's
stampings, proofings, everything all over the darn thing.
I hope I ain't getting you dizzy, guys. I hope the camera is capturing the beauty of both of these rifles, because they're beautiful. Each in their own way. They're basically they are the same design with just different.
Right, and again, the difference between inch and metric boils down to when the design was brought to Britain, and they had to convert their dimensions for making it in Britain, which is on the imperial system. They took a 12mm hole and they called it a 1/2 inch hole. They just did the conversion. But for the guy out there in the last video who said, "Nice FAL, we want some wood." Here's some wood, guys, and I hope you like the furniture on this L1A1, because you're hard pressed to find wood nowadays in this condition.
And it's beautiful. Like all John's firearms.
I know we went like a bat out of hell there, but I hope everybody can see the differences. Just watch the video again. And again, you know what? We love the comments. And again, we want to hear from you. If you're looking at a gun, do not be shy about calling in. Send pictures if you can, whatever best description. What am I looking at? What is the proper price point for it?
Right.
We don't want to see people end up with something they're not going to be unhappy with, or pay too much for something that isn't what it is supposed to be. So here's a resource. Use us. That's
an awful nice gesture of John to do that. He is the most knowledgeable firearms guy I know, period. He is a walking encyclopedia. He's amazing. He's the most educational firearms guy I have ever met in my life, and that's a fact. And to have that here as a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, is a blessing. And I really appreciate it, John.
You're bringing tears in my eyes. Very nice things to say, Chrome Freak, and I appreciate it.
Well, hopefully we can get you up on Blog TV if I can learn how to do that. And if you guys got questions, we can actually do it live. That would be pretty neat. Is there anything you want to say real quickly before we end this on the slings? Anything special about these slings?
You know, the slings, this is proper Brit style sling. Again, you can tell because the keepers are just these very simple open, I don't know what you want to call that, just like a capture ring or something like that. We got the old M1 Garand sling on this one because I take it out in the field, and I really like M1 Garand slings for battle rifles. But essentially, essentially, guys, that's just it. I know we went very fast on those different features, but slow it down, take a good look at it. And like, I'm not joking you, learn your carry handles, because when it's sitting up there on the rack, you can quickly ID that, and then go from there. Start looking for the other features. A lot of the FALs are cobbled together nowadays, and they may be a mix of things. You may even have to ask the people, you know, what did I end up with here with a receiver? What magazine will this take? Inch or metric? That's a very important question to ask.
Yes, it is.
And again, if you're stumped, talk to us before you spend your money. Seriously, and this is a tough market for these firearms, but again, 3 receivers are going to be golden. If you find a DSA, an early enterprise, or this gear logo imbel, you're pretty much safe, because nobody buys a nice receiver to put crap on it. Seriously. All right, guys, that's it. I'm going to be done. Enjoy the video. Chrome, up to you.
Well, I just want to we'll finish it up here real quick. I just want to add that if you have a receiver that John is not talking about or suggesting you get, and your gun is a shooter and it shoots fine, enjoy it. It is what it is. There's nothing wrong with it. But, you know, as a true collector, what he says is golden, period. And so if you have one, you know, like a CAI or something build out there, and it shoots for you, enjoy it. And be thankful you have that, because it's still a nice gun, period. It's a beautiful design. And that's about it, guys. I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave comments, PMs, anything, any questions. If it gets even that technical, we could even get on the phone with you. You can use my phone, John, and I have no problem doing that to help people out. I do it all the time. And that's about it, guys. Thank you for watching. Let me know about this camera. I know my cameraman skills aren't too good, but hopefully we'll get better with that. Anyway, let's wrap it up. All right, YouTube, good night.
All right, thanks, everybody. Take care.
See you guys.